jonah-rah. And then we see the Vine Cleaver and Spellbreaker for Cydonia, whereas those are not in the list for Jonah. So a couple of different choices depending on how you choose to tech out your deck, what these guys think.
I was just hoping to top deck something like that. And Muster for Battle coming out now, and this is where Cydonia is really going to try to tie the board up here. Using that one power weapon to start knocking off Divine Shield, clearing out.
Really effective. Equality, again, very strong card, best utilized against a control deck, minions that are very large, high health, that you can then bump off with your dudes, great value out of that, or alongside Consecration. So jonah-rah, no
Wild archetypes. Here comes a Light Fuse Stegodon, though, only going to adapt the single Silverhand Recruit on the board. And that's one of the challenges of these dude mirror matches, is there's so many little 1/1s and Divine Shields floating around. It's kind of hard to develop a big board presence like you would against a control deck that's relying almost solely on spells to get rid of your troops.
It absolutely is. The first player that can stick a significant board will likely just be able to spiral from that point. That's when you can start to switch from a board-centric game plan to a face plan, close out the game very quickly, because this deck has a lot of pressure once you can actually get
Recruit on the board, because cards like Quartermaster make any of them a 3/3 or worse.
Absolutely. Those recruits are not just 1/1s. They are meek now, but they are mighty.
Helps you win those long, grindy matches against in matches like this, but you know, it's kind of fallen out of favor in place of Sunkeeper Tarim, which is
much that you can do with the deck building process. It's very difficult to find a 30-card optimal list in Wild.
At the same time, the power level is so hard across the board that almost anything you think of can be done. Whoa! Hero power than Light Fuse Stegodon.
There are 2 Knife Jugglers still in the deck for jonah-rah, so I like this. He's going to Equality and hope that the Knife Juggler comes out either in that first or second slot off of this Call to Arms, and he does hit it. So Cydonia now is going to have a bit of a difficult time. 1s and 2 drops left in his deck. Even if he had Equality'd and not hit that Knife Juggler, Righteous Protector and a Noyotron were very likely to come out and still challenge the minions on board for Cydonia. So Cydonia just going to use this Consecration here, continue to put on pressure with his board. He's going into the power turns of Vine Cleaver, Sunkeeper Tarim. jonah-rah has used both Equalities and now both Call to Arms as well. There's that second Knife Juggler, but it is going to miss here. 3 more shots, though. jonah-rah, I think, has a great shot of cleaning up the majority of this board, and he may have actually just turned a corner.
Wow, what a turn. And because both players know they only have the one Consecration in deck, thank goodness that
good fortune.
Yeah, good fortune that was in his favor of getting the Knife Juggler in at least the 2 spot both times, getting at least 1 free juggle that worked out for him.
Oh dear. Cydonia is forced to Vine Cleaver here. Clear.
Look at his eyes. You can see in jonah-rah's eyes he's doing math. He's looking up to the up and left and just kind of like counting numbers in his head, figuring out what's the best. Opting to probably wait 1 more turn. He might just Quartermaster this turn and put Cydonia 1 spot away from lethal, and without really the tools he needs in hand to turn the board around.
Okay, Sunkeeper Tarim, great as well, preventing Cydonia from being able to really attack with this Vine Cleaver. And jonah-rah knows, though there are 2 Equalities in deck for Cydonia, these taunts here, I believe.
So I think he's going to use the Vine Cleaver to get rid of the taunt and then just put the Noyotrons out and hope for the best. But 5 health is not where you want to be, especially when jonah-rah has a hand of nothing but attack buffs for his Silverhand recruits.
This is still just lethal. 6 damage into each of the Noyotrons, 6 damage left on board for jonah-rah. So lethal on board. jonah-rah going to take game number 1. Looked like he was at an early game turn, but it also does have the anti-aggressive game plan of Duskbreaker plus dragons.
He's got Twilight Guardian, Draconoid Operative, only 6 dragons in the deck, but also Nether... Oh, I'm sorry, Twilight Whelp is in there as well, so 8 dragons plus Netherspite Historian gives him, yeah, you're right, a good early game, good early to mid game, very difficult to remove minions that you can put on the board, but the Netherspite Historian, even minions ever printed in Hearthstone, I mean, I struggle to think of a better just beat stick than Draconoid Operative. 5/6 for 5 replaces itself with a card of your choice. Blah, how good is that?
It's a very, very quickly. So he wants to not necessarily commit to killing this over 2 turns because he knows that that's very unlikely to happen. Just soften it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Get that life total lower onto this Radiant Elemental just so that Cydonia is playing a very aggressive deck.
Yeah, and though Cydonia is not in great position, he's not in as bad of a spot as I initially thought. Looking at jonah-rah's hand, the Duskbreaker can't get turned on right now. There's no dragon in hand. Divine Spirit's there, but not Inner Fire. You're still looking to...
Above all else, if he can just stack stats onto this Radiant Elemental and Cydonia can't kill it, then jonah-rah eventually will find the combo pieces that he needs. The Potion of Madness here going to allow jonah-rah to fully clear the board, keep this board of his own still relatively...
Is if you draw the kind of powerful endgame cards before you draw the enablers, it suddenly just looks like you're playing kind of a bad deck. I mean, you know, the challenge with Wild is that if your deck works, it's incredibly broken. It's doing one of the most powerful things you can imagine in all of Hearthstone. But if you know, you can't
have your dudes.
Let's see, Draconoid Operative comes in, but now you have 2 dragons in hand. Only one can activate. Depends on which one you want to activate first. My guess would be Draconoid Operative, but whoa, we got a combo. Looks like he's going to Divine Spirit and then Inner Fire for a 10-10.
And then really, we're going to Duskbreaker and go face for 13.
Ouchies. And that's all other minions, so it is going to put a little bit of damage on jonah-rah's own board, but at the same time, you got 9 health left, and show me an equality or scoop those cards.
Could allow Cydonia to live. And that is more than enough for him to live. So, okay.
What are you, a psychic?
Well, yeah, playing the odds, man. I might as well go to Vegas at this point. Cydonia has now likely the resilience he needs if he's...
Battle out of your opponent's deck would be pretty strong right now.
There's a lot of individually very strong cards in the Dude Paladin deck.
And that's really what made that archetype, even back when it was a standard deck, so popular. It was like, oh, let's just put all the best, most efficient, cost-effective cards that are in standard into one deck and see what happens from there.
Yeah, you've lost Muster for Battle, Shielded Minibot, and Quartermaster.
Crafted in all of Hearthstone.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to see him still seeing wild competitive play even after that initial nerf. Here comes a Evolve. We're discovering, what are we looking at here? We're looking at, not Evolve.
Adaptation.
Yeah, Adapt. Got a 10-5 and a 3-3. Your win. Can't find what he needs. Needed that taunt. Couldn't get it. And jonah-rah is going up 2-0 in this best-of-5 match.
Into either of those 3 drops, Muster for Battle, Rallying Blade. But he thinks the Shielded Minibot likely just challenges on board a little bit better right now.
I'm surprised by that. I personally, again, Cydonia, 10 times better player than me, so this kind of shows the difference between pros and noobs here. But as a noob, I would think it would have gone Coin Muster for Battle, specifically just to try to take out some of the pirates and keep them from getting that good board state. And what happened there, by playing the Shielded Minibot, one of the 1/1s, and then force him to deal with a board of your own board that he has to kill every single one of them unless your Light Fuse Stegodon or something like that could really prove to be a threat.
Yeah, I think the reason that Cydonia going into Rallying Blade on turn 3 anyway, and wouldn't be able to make full use of that Light's Justice right now. So, all in all, he's just playing this very patiently. He's under a lot of pressure from the Pirate Warrior, but he isn't cracking under that pressure. Exactly. Every point of damage that this Pirate Warrior deals will have to go through taunt somehow. There's a lot of burst, there's Leroy Jenkins, there's weapons, there's heroic strikes, but there is...
Forward thinking has really paid off here. Still has Muster for Battle in hand, but has managed to pretty much stabilize the board. It looks like he's in a better position. Spellbreaker's going to come down to get rid of the taunt and Divine Shield and try to help force more damage to face, really putting the pressure on Cydonia to, you know, keep showing me taunts or else you're going to...
Good Lord, Deathspite was... and still is a good card. In Standard, we've seen Bloodraiser take the slot of Deathspite. You get the Whirlwind, Battle Cry, and Death Rattle, but the fact that the weapon only has 2 attack means that it's just...
Death Rattle of Deathspite. So Righteous Protector comes down. I guess you maybe just make another Silverhand recruit with the last 2 mana, but I don't think you want to play any of the other cards out of your hand, because all he's going to do is attack the Righteous Protector and wipe your board.
It's definitely possible. jonah-rah has the option of upgrading. Cydonia doesn't know that there is another upgrade in the hand, obviously.
Yeah.
So may want to bait this weapon attack to clear the board, but also doesn't want to put so many minions onto the board that he knows are going to get cleared that he then doesn't have...
The hero power is trying to do that? Is that you're speculating there?
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely trying to pull that aggro attack out now, and we're going to get that. So the board will be wiped on Cydonia's side, but now he can reload with Muster for Battle, Lost in the Jungle, and more. Just has to hold on with 11 health, or might be going home in a sweeperino.
Easier said than done, Romo. This Bloodsail Raider on the board is uncontested right now by anything that Cydonia has. He needs...
So nervous, look at him, he's all... He knows that he's just maybe 1 or 2 turns away from advancing into the semifinals of the Hearthstone Wild Open. He's hoping... I mean, I think jonah-rah came into this matchup as an underdog, confident in himself. What a move!
There's nothing Cydonia can do. He knows that he needed Sunkeeper Tarim, he needed Call to Arms, he needed more taunts. Even